Hello, folks, and welcome to the first post-season weekly podcast on the Full Lads Had a Dream podcast network. I'm the host this evening, Andrew Stewart. Joined with me this evening is my good pal Kenny. Kenny, how are you, mate?
I'm all good, mate. Busy day at work. Just get settled in about 20 minutes ago, and that's me good to go, mate. How are you?
I'm very good, very similar, but yeah, I had a decent Monday. And before we crack on, hello to everybody tuning in live and anyone listening back. I'll do a wee plug just to start the show, just whilst we're getting folks in. I'll bring them up along the bottom of the screen. A membership platform. I think I need to start by just just blown away by the support that we've had since launching the membership platform. You'll see all yourselves scrolling across the bottom of the screen. I've actually in the background had to set up a couple of different banners. It's been that well received, so you will see yourself across the bottom in due course. But yeah, just a massive, massive thank you for all the support that you're showing the show. As part of the membership program, you will get to see the long anticipated Stephen Naismith pod. With it still was going to be divisive, is what Stevie said, and we've had some interesting opinions from folks who have tuned in and read it, listened to it, and yeah, it's if you have a membership, you get to see that live before anyone else, and we'll maybe hint at what else is to come later on in the show. I'll just continue to push some of these along the bottom of the screen, but we'll crack on with the discussion, Kenny. Hibs, the season in a microcosm, I think is the best way to describe that. There'll be the major talking point, but I think it's for me. I was more just kind of happy that this was it. This was the final game. We can tick the box and we can move on. I don't think anyone was really getting any pre-game nerves or really being up for it. It was kind of just 90 minutes and done and up the road.
Yeah, it's a thank God that's over, isn't it? It was one of those games again, as you say, kind of epitomised the way we have went about our business all season. I just think that you look at the goals we're conceding down our right hand side. How many times have we seen that? Missed a barrel load of chances, controversy everywhere. It's kind of what you said, isn't it? It's pretty much um, what we've done all season, and nothing surprising. Expected goals, we've lost a couple, scored a couple, usual stuff, and the last few months have just been. Can you not just finish quickly? Kind of feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll get into the game. Obviously, there will be the big talking point, which we will commit a significant amount of time to discuss. Obviously, I'm sure there was an expectation from anyone tuning in that we'll have to have a talk about it. But Rangers started relatively well with a Cyril Desser's goal, which puts him confirmed as the top scorer in the league for this campaign. An assist from Nico Raskin, who we'll get on to later in the show. Just an overall discussion on Nico. But 2 minutes in, you're thinking, oh well, maybe they have turned up today, which would be so Rangers in the final day to put on a show or play some nice football when it meant absolutely nothing. We did then put the ball in the net again. I say it went in the net is the key thing. Anyone with eyes can see it went in the net. Kenny, there was no goal given on the park. I was confused at the time. I was on a I was listening to watching the game and I was on a call with my mates just chilling in the afternoon and they must have thought I was absolutely insane with my reaction to it at the time because I was completely perplexed as to how this was not given and lo and behold Hibs go and score. What was your kind of immediate reaction to the no goal?
Uh, Again, kind of sums us up where the ball gets in the net. We're not giving it, and 15, 20 seconds later, we've lost a goal. Kind of sums us up as well. But on the incident itself, I had my say last night, Andrew, when I was on with Stevie and Andrew Anderson, and it's impossible. It's no matter, and I've actually watched it a few times today again, and you're looking at it and you're thinking, right, I see the ball like kind of ripple the side netting and actually go in really quite far. And this mob at the SFA have genuinely turned around and told us there's no conclusive camera angle that tells us it's over the line. Again, I said it last night. Did none of you up there have a pair of eyes? I mean, it is genuinely um, mind-boggling. I mean, I don't know what else to say. You can see it as clear as the nose on your face. It's in the net. It's hitting the net. It's well past the post. It's clearly a goal. You look at the linesman on the other side, the assistant on that side. He's a yard away from the goal line, looking right across it. He can clearly see it. There's nothing restricting his view. He doesn't give it. The referee doesn't give it. The two idiots in VAR look at it and can't see it. And you're like, and as I said last night, Andrew, I want to point this out that this tin pot poxy version of VAR that we're using in the SPFL is effectively it's aligned to the goal line and works all the way up and back and forward. And there's a line on the goal line, in case they're mistaken. There's an actual line there. So you just take it back to the line and you'll be able to see the balls miles past it. You'd think, do you know what I mean? It's just most ridiculous nonsense. And, you know, we're going to come to it as well. But now the SFA are giving it a bit of this as well, where they're going to sit there and the compliance officer and is talking about stuff said, which I know we're going to come to. But you people are, they're not fit for purpose, Andrew. The SFA, the referees, something's got to get done about this, surely. I mean, this is a top tier professional game in this country. This is as high as it gets in Scotland, and this is what they're doing. So, and as I said last night, there was an incident in the Kilmarnock Hearts game. I don't know if you've seen that, where there was a boy get sent off at Hearts, and I mean, are these people? This is VAR getting involved again, and it's the technology's not great, but the people that are you know supposed to utilize this technology aren't fit for purpose. It's as clear as day. They are absolute idiots. If you and I mean, and I don't say that lightly. I'm not just mouthing off. Nobody's going to tell me you can't tell me that's a goal. Nobody is. It's. What do you think yourself? Think about it seriously.
I would like to point out it's not. We've seen some interesting VAR checks in terms of is the ball fully in or fully out. There was the Finlay Curtis cutback at Pittodrie, which we had the ball in the net, and they ruled with a similar kind of camera angle that it was fully out. Which, if it were to be, if you were to substitute where that was in the byline to where it was in the goal in between the two goalposts, I'd say you get similar, if not an even more conclusive with the Easter Road incident. But in a year when we've seen is that more inside or outside than inside in the penalty box, nothing's off the table with the VAR decisions. It's been a bad year. We've seen Willie Collum come out and do interviews to say, you know, we need to learn from these mistakes. Well, what are we learning, folks? Because I've yet to see these.
It's getting worse.
Yeah, I think it's been a downward trend since then. I was gonna maybe lead into the fact you've called the VAR officials idiots in the Tom Miller way of saying Kenny's views don't necessarily match the views of the Full Lads podcast, but I kind of find it hard not to agree with you. But moving on to that, Bomber with the corruption call and the subsequent SFA investigation. Do you want to call it that, or just that it's a you're not allowed to say that from our governing body? But for me, Rangers had to then do what we all said they had to do: be strong on this for once, put out something that's strongly worded. Rangers put out the statement in a season where Rangers have been on the receiving end of several major officiating errors. Frustration is entirely understandable. The idea that spontaneous remarks could warrant disciplinary action is excessive, surprising, and inconsistent. This development should not overshadow what was a clear mistake, evident to anyone who's seen the footage of the game. The focus should be on raising refereeing standards for the good of Scottish football. Should a change follow, we will defend it and question whether club channels uh, the league are being monitored and policed equally. Can I just say, to go back, because I wanted to tune in, we have VAR Light, is what I seen on Twitter the other day. Somebody quoted it as VAR Light, and I thought it was superbly worded. Think of the Dessers goal in Europe. The one that was very Sunyunchu on the goal line in Fenerbahce. It's very similar. The way that he sprawled into the net, he flung a leg back towards the ball, he's kicked out the net, but the ref goes, nope, tell me that's a goal. Good goal. And you go back to centre circle and you get on with it. We just can't do that because we feel like, is there a corner to be cut? Then let's cut it. And it's so frustrating that this is another in that we could do this, but why should we? Because we can do that for less. It's and as I think Nico had said in the post game in the press room, if you want to build the game, as Rangers also say in the statement, you cannot be cutting corners like this, Kenny.
No, you absolutely can't. And again, it's what something that I highlighted again last night, that you're looking at this version of VAR, right? And it is VAR Light, and you look at the lines. Forget the situation where there's a clear goal not given. Shortly thereafter, now this is what utterly mystifies me about this, is that they're saying there's no conclusive camera angle that can tell them whether it's over the line or not, even though it's about 2 feet over the line, right? And they can then put a couple of one red line and one blue line, whap them right across the pitch. They're not straight. They're slightly wiggly. They're that digital kind of line that's broken all the way through, and then they tell you when it's literally millimeters, an inch if you're lucky, offside, onside, right? It's that close, right? And there's this broken, angled line telling you, look, he's offside. And you're like, but this, I don't know if it's my eyes. I don't know if I'm just getting old and I can't see properly or something. But this doesn't tell me anything. I'm looking at, you go down to England and you'll see perfect lines, and they can use the cameras to highlight and zoom in, zoom out, all these kind of things. You can go and watch the German football or the Champions League football, and it's semi-automated, and the offsides will show you in a 3D picture. There he is. That's the part of him it's offside, and it's all 3D, and it's very visual, and look what we've got to play with. I mean, our referees are bad enough, right? We all know this. There's not anybody, forget Rangers fans, there's nobody in this country that doesn't understand how absolutely woeful our referees are in this country across the board. And if you actually consider, I'm not a massive fan of lower league football, if you like. Now, if you think that these are the top tier referees, these are ones that are refereeing in the Premier League, I wonder what the referees are like in the west of Scotland and the Lowland leagues. And you wonder what the standard of refereeing actually is, right? Working all the way down, because it's so poor. But anyway, what I would say about this is this needs binned. This version of VAR does need binned. It's not fit for purpose. We are seeing, as I say, highlighted it already, but the incident with the Hearts player yesterday, the referee got it right and VAR intervened. Now, this is where the issue is with referees, that he's get called over to a monitor to look at this, and he's went, okay, you're right. When he must clearly see when he looks at it, no, I'm right in the first instance. There's a foul committed on the boy, so therefore it isn't a red card. It's a yellow card to the guy that's just kicked him from behind. And this is what I'm saying, that we could sit here and discuss this all night, Andrew, because
Yeah.
as you say, when you've got a VAR referee in a League Cup final, turning around and saying it's more out than, and then stopping, these guys have got to be questioned, Andrew. What do you mean it's more out than? If it's in any way, shape, or form, and in the penalty box, it's a penalty kick. So you can't say it's more out than, because that's telling you that it's in. And he still reassures himself that he's right. And this is the level of officiating that we have in this country. And VAR isn't helping them. If anything, it's confusing them even more because they're not fit for purpose, Andrew.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, we could discuss VAR all night, and I mean, you're getting some good opinion on it. You know, only as good as the people using it, says Jimbo. I did like use an etch a sketch to draw the lines from McCallum. I got a good chuckle from me. Um, but yeah, I mean, ref Refgate and the VAR, and I mean that was the League Cup final. You know, it's a big game. It's a big tie, and we've seen it. We were on the wrong end of it, and it's. I don't want to say it's derailed the season. The season was awful, but that was a chance at silverware. It was to retain, I believe, a League Cup. But we'll move on. Obviously, we do then go back in front. A Nico Raskin goal, who, as I said, we'll go dive into Nico as a player this year. But another kind of headed goal, a corner from Tav. Nico's becoming a bit of a nuisance in the air for teams. We've seen it. It's reminiscent of Joe Aribo's time, just being a free runner and teams not picking him up. And he's had some real good, impact, especially because we've been so awful at set pieces, especially corners, for the majority of the season. The wee man seems to rise the highest, Kenny, and he added another one to his tally.
Yeah, he's making a habit of it, isn't he? He's doing really well. It's the timing of the run, and he's got a leap on him for about, I don't know what he is, 5'8", 5'9", or something like that. I don't know exactly what height he is, but in comparison to a lot of the direct opponents at set pieces, he's not the biggest, and he's out leaping them a plenty. And as I say, I think a lot of that is down to the timing of the run and just the connection that he's getting time and time again. And his stats this season are becoming very, very decent. And if you consider that he is clearly our most valuable asset, and you appreciate the fact that he had a really bad injury against Ajax in pre-season, where he couldn't get into the team for quite a number of months at the start of this season. And you see the way he's come on, in leaps and bounds. And he's adding goals and assists to his game. Fair play to the kid. I hope he stays. I hope he signs a new deal. Because if yourself, Andrew, if he doesn't, we have a decision to make on it, because he is at peak value for us at this minute in time, I would think.
Yeah, we've talked about having to be wise in the transfer market and as in going to get players, but we need to also equally be sensible when it comes to the sales of players. Peak value. We cannot be an emotional team, unfortunately. When it comes to holding on to fan favourites, if the money's right, we do need to take it. I would say that this is the thing with Nico. A 24-year-old, now full Belgian international, 7 goal involvements in the last 5 games. and he was tied top in the league for assists, as you said, off the back of a really problematic injury for him. This is a this you know this is a launching point for him to really put himself in the view of the international manager, and from the comments that was made post last international break, the coach for the Belgium setup was very happy with his impact. I don't think he's showcased his spotlight has been brighter on him since joining the club, and it's well deserved. I mean, we've talked about some of the players. I mean, he said he's probably our best asset. At times in the season, it felt like Hamza could have been that, but he kind of fell away at times. And even just through maybe not being in the right position, as we've discussed a few times in the show, but Nico seems to peak again and again and again. If we can't get a deal sorted to extend his stay, I know he did seem very happy at the club, and he said he wants to be here as long as the club wants him to be here. But we do need to be ruthless, Kenny, because we cannot afford to have another Kent, another Morelos situation where these boys are walking on frees when they could be funding the next alterations of the squad under the new management.
Yeah, that can't happen. The amount of players over the last 3 seasons that have left for nothing or virtually nothing, it just can't happen anymore. That needs rectified immediately. You can't have, excuse me, you can't have any player, in my opinion, running down their contract unless there is no real value in, the player in terms of if he's 33, 34, you're not going to get a lot of money for him anyway, Andrew. But in that regard, and with Nico, it is a really difficult one because I think the lad would be quite happy to turn around and sit and see out his contract if that's what Rangers want him to do. Will he want to move on to one of the top 5 leagues where he's clearly more than capable of playing at that level? He is clearly capable of doing that. Then the answer, if Nico Raskin's honest, would be yes, of course I do. He wants to play in England or Italy or Germany or wherever it may be, France or Italy, all these 5 leagues. It's where all top players end up playing. And he must have the ambition to do that. And you can't stifle that ambition. We're a massive, massive football club, Andrew. We know we are. But unfortunately, we are a very big fish in a very small pond. That old cliche stuff, but it's true. And you can't stop somebody progressing their career, even though we want to keep him. If he doesn't want to sign a deal, then we have to turn around and say to him, well, we need to we need to sell you now. Because if we get, I would be looking at 20 million quid for Nico Raskin. That's what I would personally want. Now, other people have said different things and different valuations. But if you leave it till a year down the line, I don't think you get half of that. But I don't even think you would get half of that with a year left in his contract. So it is a massive, massive decision for both player and club in terms of what the boy wants to do. Because he's 24, he's still young, his best days are in front of him, Andrew. And if he was to go and sign a new, say, 4-year deal, and you've got him for another couple of years, all the better, because you could end up, if we get the right manager, and this is all left buts and maybes before I crack on, but if you get the right manager, you become successful, you've got a Champions League player on your hands, and he's still an international with Belgium, you could be looking at a £35 million player all of a sudden. And that's where it's a bit of a juggle for Rangers and the boy himself.
Yeah, I think, especially with the World Cup next year, I do believe, the 26 World Cup, he'll be wanting to see if he can make a real go at being a consistent figurehead in the Belgian midfield. And that's, again, having that aspiration to be as highly rated as he can be, recognised by his international team. And if his hope is to stay here, then if he signs a deal, I would 100% be over the moon with that. But it's about us being wise as well. Another player who I know it's quite early, but obviously it was well documented, the pre-contract arrival of Lyle Cameron. I think off the back of also a player like Conor Barron getting called up to Scotland for the next internationals, it's another positive that we're starting to be wise in the Scottish market. I mean, some of the numbers I'll go through here: 9 goals, 5 assists in 33 league matches, 3 goals, 5 assists in 6 League Cup games, 2 goals, 1 assist in 2 matches in the Scottish Cup, 14 goals, 11 assists in 41 matches in total. For a boy, you're getting on a compensation fee. I think that's good business in the end. There was a lot of talk of how much would his role be diminished after signing the pre-contract agreement. As there was a bit of negativity, as there always is. We've seen it before with the free transfer players moving from Scottish clubs to Rangers. How is he going to react to that? And I think even just from his performance at the weekend, there are some crucial goals for Dundee. He showed his character, and I think he's. I mean, we've talked about professionalism this season and the lack of it at times. I think he's a player that, similar to Conor Barron, can grow and continue to be top players for Scotland in the future at Rangers.
Yeah, I think Lyle Cameron's in the under-21 squad, isn't he? And this boy's a fine young player. Every time I see him, he catches my eye. Now, I'm not going to pretend that I've seen huge amounts of him, because I know in the last 2 or 3 games he's been left out against us, so I haven't overly seen him in the flesh, to be honest. But again, the stats don't lie. The numbers are there. It was a fine finish, fine goal from the weekend there. Really good goal, and his stats after the split have probably been the goals and assists that have kept Dundee out of that relegation zone. And he listen, there's something about him. He's a good attacking midfielder. I think it's something that we need to have. We don't have enough goals for midfield, Andrew. The last couple of seasons have proved that we're not getting enough. And he will be a very, very fine addition to the squad, I would think. And I think he'll get a lot more game time than perhaps a lot of folk when we initially signed him actually would have thought, because there is something about him. There is a real kind of flair about the kid that I really do like. I'm looking forward to watching him actually next season, I have to say.
Yeah, he's a player I'd like to see what an incoming manager makes of. I think we all know how hard our domestic quota has to be filled up, but I think he's more than just the Scottish pick. I think he could really kick on at Rangers. But time will tell, and we'll see what a new manager thinks of him. I mean, the new manager talk we've seen again. Stevie G has been linked again. There's been a lot more of his name coming up today in social media, and lists of candidates being floated about. Um, we've had this conversation on the show, Kenny, before Ancelotti's name was even in the picture. Um, Marco Rose and Gerrard were linked to be the top two, that the candidates that Rangers are going to have to decide between. Funnily enough, I've seen some people that were more not anti-Gerrard, but were very much it would take something to overturn that negative feeling at the exit. Like even just I'm looking in the comments, you'll see some people talking about who they want. I'm seeing rather strong opinion there. I was on the fence about it at the time, but we've discussed do we want to go forward thinking, progressive, kind of future minded? I don't know if it's even the best way of describing it, but a kind of manager that will take us into the next kind of nowadays modern football, because I do think we're well behind. Or do we want a safe pair of hands? I would have suggested Gerrard fell into the safe hands uh, side of that debate. There was other names, obviously Mourinho's, Benitez, and Rosa. All you can divvy up into those two tallies, but Gerrard for me would only be that safe pair of hands. I think you could be going straight back into the same discussions you were having all those years ago, where Gerrard's end game isn't Rangers. We've seen it before. So where are you thinking in the next 2 or 3 seasons? And that's where we failed in the past, Kenny. If Gerrard were to come back in, we have to have the future proofing in place. And that's what we hope with this new takeover. But is it too much to ask?
No, it's not too much to ask. But what I would throw back at you, in response to that, would be that Gerrard. You would say that I would actually think that Gerrard has got unfinished business here. I think the way that he left, I don't think he was overly happy with. He had knocked back plenty of jobs before he ended up taking the Villa job, and he took the Villa job because he was unhappy at our board and some of the stuff that had happened to him. Now, I would point that out and say that if you say Marco Rosa is a perfect example, Marco Rosa, look at his CV. He's at every job he does for 2 or 3, 2 years, 3 years maximum. And if he does well first season, trust me, he'll be away in the Premier League by the end of the season. You'd lose your manager right away with somebody like that if he was successful. He's not the type that's going to hang about, regardless to being a project or not. He's an ambitious, clearly ambitious guy. I would suggest you could find the same with Ancelotti as well, that if he was to turn up and we were to go and win the league and do reasonably well in Europe next season, he wouldn't be here long either, because he's a sought-after guy. And again, I've just mentioned it about Nico Raskin. It's just the nature of our game, Andrew, that we are a very big club. We know that, but there's bigger leagues out there that sadly, financially and ambition-wise can dwarf us because of the nature of the way we run our game in this country. We could have a bright future in Scotland if we actually showed a little bit of ambition and I'm talking about our governing bodies and stuff like that, but they don't have any. They're quite happy with the status quo, Andrew. They're quite happy with what's going on with one team, winning just about everything all the time. So, with all respect to our board and the new guys that are coming in, it's up to us to change the rhetoric about Scottish football, because nobody else is going to do it. It's up to us to change it. And that's where the new manager appointment is going to be so important, because it is somebody, I agree with you, that if you're looking at a project manager, then patience is going to be required, isn't it? And we are not the most patient fans. So
I'll give you that impression.
Oh, I don't know. I've just been there once or twice, but it's one of those things that when you do look at it and or in terms of being a project manager, you're going to have to get some assurances that the guy's going to have to be there for a length of time, as you say, and there's no guarantees of that. And that's where, for me personally, I think that Gerrard is the one that you would probably look at and say would be quite happy to stay for 3 or 4 years, because I think he was previous. He was there for 3.5 years. So it's very difficult, because you, me, Stevie, everybody on here, everybody out there. I mean, I've been. You'll be the same, Andrew. You're getting all the WhatsApp messages, all these guys on follow, and this platform and that platform, all throwing, I'll delete my account if it's not Gerrard. I'll do this if it's not Ancelotti. Nobody knows, and yeah, there might be hints here and there, but trust me, there's nobody, because if anybody knew it'd be happening, it would have happened by now. And I just don't believe that anybody truly knows exactly who it's going to be. But I don't know who my preferred choice is. I don't know what you feel, because out of the ones that I've heard, I would say Ancelotti and Gerrard are the two that I would be okay with. Some of the rest of them, I don't fancy Marco Rosa for the reasons I've just said. I'm not convinced with the Danny Rule guy. Russell Martin can get in the bin. There's loads of them that I just don't fancy. I'm like, nah, I'm not seeing him as a Rangers manager. So I don't know what you think, but for me, it's a difficult one, because it's going to come really quite quickly. I would think it's not going to be too long now.
Yeah, although, as you said there, your guess is as good as ours. We have been fortunate enough to hear from some really people close to his takeover, as an example. Chris Jack has been, he's been on the ball and he's been quick to let the support ourselves and everyone know when there is something he knows. But it's been such a tight-lipped discussion on the manager. Names have been thrown out, bookies odds have changed. You're getting manager profiles left, right, and centre on Twitter. Nobody really has the inside scoop because, for once, I'm actually relatively happy that, as the comment says, we haven't leaked this new manager. We've kind of kept it tight-lipped for now. And that's impressive to me. I think this shows that we really we've got a process kind of sorted almost. But Gerard Ancelotti, the key thing I want from whoever it is I want them to be passionate about the project they're taking on, and I want them to have a fire in them to be successful, and I want that fire to translate to the players. Because as I said, professionalism has been the key word the last few weeks. I don't think the players could have given a toss about some of the games in the last month, 2 months. That can't be acceptable. That can't happen. We need a manager who's going to have them ready to go as soon as they cross the white line to represent the badge and give the fans a show. And silverware would certainly be a positive, in my opinion. But yeah, we'll see what happens on the manager front in terms of incomings. Obviously, Kenny, the club confirmed that Barry and his coaching staff that he brought in were leaving their posts and thanking them. Some heartfelt messages from the support on social media. Barry was quick to be so appreciative of the opportunity and the support he had. We've said this before, but he did what all Rangers supporters would do. He answered the call, and it certainly was never an easy time for him. I think he would maybe admit now that although he was ready and raring to go, that it was difficult because, as he said, he'd been watching us this season from his ambassadorial role, but I guarantee getting his hands on the manager's task was strenuous for him because if it's bloody strenuous to go and sit and watch the 90 minutes at Ibrox, I can't imagine how he's feeling having to try and get through to the players in the park. I mean, the size of the job, even for just the short period of time he had it, we can only thank him for his efforts.
Absolutely. Listen, before I answer that, on Lock Eye the Views question to me there, I wouldn't be happy if Michael Beale come back at all. Not in any way, shape, or form. Don't want him anywhere near. And that's not me being nasty about it or, yeah, it's just no thank you. But on Barry, what do you say? I said it again, Andrew. I was on last night and I said it. He goes with my best wishes. They all do. All four of the guys. They've managed to sit there and do the best job that they could with with the tools that were available to them. Now, you, I, and everybody else in the Rangers support have looked at that squad from the get-go this season and the shit show that Rangers have been all season, from the Copeland, road fiasco to Hampden to dropping points left, right, and centre away from home at the start of the season, losing your manager, can't win away, can't win at Ibrox for 7 games. This is a poor Rangers team, and the squad is no depth to it whatsoever. I know that Keith Jackson was hinting that people not turning up for training quite a lot, which is, I know you have heard as well, and I'd heard that a few times, and it's appalling the state that this Rangers team's in. So, with all respect to Philip Clement, change did have to happen. A boy like Barry has turned up, took the call to arms, and managed to do the job to the best of his ability, along with his backroom team, who we are all going to be eternally grateful for taking on a job that they didn't need to take on. It wasn't going to enhance anybody's reputation taking that job on, because we've seen it. I don't know if we've won 3 or 4 games in a row all season, Andrew. I genuinely don't. I can't really remember winning 4 games in a row, put it that way. So that's the level of squad that Rangers have. And I'll say a massive thank you to Barry and his team for taking that job on with the prior knowledge that they were on a hiding to nothing with a squad. They had nothing to play for apart from the Europa League. And with all respect to our players, didn't have a cat's chance in hell of winning that tournament, really. And it's disappointing we went out of that tournament because I don't think we did ourselves much justice, and the refereeing decisions over the 2 games didn't help us either. But we just are a poor outfit, mate, and I'll be thankful to Barry and his team. That's all I can say. A massive thank you for being the Rangers men that they are and doing the job that they did.
Yeah, I read out Barry's statement that the club put up saying, "These last 3 months have been an enormous honour for me. I've already lived the dream as a player and as a captain of Rangers, and to do so as head coach these last 3 months has been an enormous honour for me. There have been some ups and downs, but I've loved this experience and given it my all throughout." That's what we were expecting for Barry, to give it his all. That was what we expected when it was his name that got pushed forward to be the interim job. That was the one thing that we thought he'll bring in, is that overall passion that Rangers needs to be better. And if he can do anything to push it in the right way, he would do so. And I think he hasn't fallen short of that. I think the players have fallen short on him. And I think, with his media work, I'm sure we may find out about that in the years to come. But yeah, again, to Barry, to Billy Dodge, to Neil McCann, to Alan McGregor, a massive thank you to step in. I managed to drag Griggsy off a golf course. That must have taken some persuasion, but yeah, a massive thank you for your time. I think we'll wrap it up there, folks. Thank you for tuning in again. Just a quick nod to our kind of partners here. First, down below, Rhino Express, Clivey Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions, CSD Air Conditioning, Black Rooster and Art of Gold, and to our members. Again, I'll bring you along at the bottom of the screen. Just a heads up in case you had missed it, which if you've been tuning in, you probably can't have missed it. The membership platform gives you access to the Stephen Naismith podcast, which has been quite an interesting one to say the least. But members get first dibs to that one. It will go up on the channel a wee bit down the line for non-members. There are some interesting videos coming up shortly with Bob Malcolm, Stevie Smith, in discussion of the Helicopter Sunday anniversary. That's coming up. I'm hearing from a little birdie that it's tomorrow it's coming up. So members, keep your eye on the channel. Again, just a massive thank you for the support. That I don't think we were expecting anything like the uptake we've had in the membership platform. But again, thank you. Last but not least, I need to thank my guest this evening, Kenny. Thank you for spending your evening discussing, the runaway train that's been Rangers this season.
Yeah, it's been a thoroughly shit season, let's not pretend. And I'm glad it's over, mate. And it had to end in a crazy controversy, didn't it? That we've seen enough of these this season, and I'm sure other fans of other clubs and other podcasters that following other football clubs are probably sitting saying the same thing. But that is nutty what happened on Saturday. Absolutely bonkers. The ball's 3 feet over the line. Can't tell you that's a goal though. Are you all mental in this game, in this country? But listen, mate, thank you very much for having me on. Thanks for eventually getting back to me when you were eating your dinner, because I was beginning to panic. And
it's never leaving you out to dry, Kenny. Don't you worry.
I know. And thank you very much to each and every member. You can get it for as cheap as 99p a month. And yeah, we are all blown away by the amount of members we're getting on for, lads. It's growing at a massive rate, and the team that we have behind the scenes, all podcasters and writers and stuff like that, it's the best we've ever had, and we are absolutely buzzing at the way it's going, and it's been a brilliant season for us, if not for Rangers, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's one of the positives. Another wee thing I forgot to plug with your membership is what was it? I'm just looking at them, which is giving me a chuckle. It's the stickers that you can post in the live shows. I'll just throw up a couple, and a fan's favourite, Stevie, at Parkhead. He was certainly enjoying himself that day. But from the great to the extreme, uh, there's been a lot of. We've been throwing these in our group chat to mixed reactions, especially from myself. They've not done me any justice on this if I can get it up properly. Yes. These are the joys. Another perk of the membership platform. So yeah, but by all means, if you want extra Rangers content, you want to hear some interesting podcasts which are coming 99p a month, jump on the subscription platform. But thank you for joining me this evening. Some great numbers, and again, massive thank you.
With
But
2,200 people watching this already, man, it's brilliant, isn't it?
yeah, it's
Absolutely
incredible.
amazing.
So, thank you for choosing to spend your evening with us in any way, shape, or form. If you're listening to us in the background, if you're watching us live, or if you're listening after the fact, thank you for choosing to spend your time with us. But until next time, thank you very much and good night.
The Four Lads podcast is sponsored by Rhino Express, Clydeview Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions Limited, and CSD Air Conditioning, in partnership with Black Rooster and Art of Gold. Thank you for listening to or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.